Cloud. All right, so welcome everyone. This is the Kubeflow Pipelines community meeting. Today is October 23rd, 2024. And this is our first call on Zoom. Hopefully everybody was able to find their way here. I see the note-taking apps did, but let's just jump right into it. Julio, you are first. Are you here? I don't see Julio. We can skip him for now. We already talked about the maintainer access docs, but just to reiterate for the recording, I think we're gonna circle back on this, and we'll follow up next time. Ricardo, Dermot, are you guys here?
Ricardo and Greg won't be able to make it. I can present on their behalf. Would it be okay if I share screen for like a quick minute?
Yep.
It says you cannot share screen when another participant is sharing.
Oh,
So,
do I have
okay.
to pause it? Okay, hold on. Let me do
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
Stop share. Okay, try now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay. Am I sharing my screen right now? Okay. Okay. So Ricardo has an open PR for implementing pipeline config class along with a TTL field. And Greg was also working on this previously. Um, um, so here's like the previous PR Greg had on the same topic. And Greg, Chen, and Ricardo had a discussion in the PR's comments. To give some context, this just adds a pipeline config class to be able to implement pipeline level configurations. So this was the structure, the IR spec that Chen and Greg and Ricardo decided upon. This is how the resulting IR should look like when we compile uh, the DSL level changes. And this is just a sample, a compilation Python file that Ricardo has, put together here, just to show how we could set pipeline level configurations. TTL is an example here, and then this is how the resulting IR, the output, would look like. This is like the pipeline config key here, and you can see the TTL added in here in the IR. So this is Ricardo's PR that is also linked in the notes. I just added a comment here for Chen. The SDK part of this PR is ready for review. Like I mentioned, it generates the YAML correctly as per our requirement. The backend part is in progress, but we would really like it if Chen could take a look at the SDK piece. One question we had for them is, we have explicitly specified Kubernetes as a platform here. We just wanted to know if that needs to be dynamically specified, if it changes as per any requirements. I've explained that in the comment here. For now, I think we think this is okay, specifying the key explicitly. But if Chen or any other folks have any objections to that, do let us know, and we can work on having it dynamically specified and updated. Yeah, that's all I had. So if Homer, if you could leave like a note or an action item for Jen to take a look at.
Yeah, that sounds good. That PR is contingent on Greg's PR getting merged, right?
Yes, right.
Okay.
By Greg's PR, you mean the semaphore stuff?
The pipeline config one, isn't that the one that the TTL one is utilizing? So
Yes.
Greg's PR here is the one that's implementing the actual pipeline config, right?
So it's all copied over into Ricardo's PR.
Yeah.
So like
Okay. So we want to like first get this merged, and we are waiting on a
a confirmation from.
okay. So what's not clear to me is so I see that Chen did reply here. Uh, is it that this is utilizing that PR and we want like confirmation on like is this the does this look good? Can you clarify?
Yes, if this looks good, if all the SDK changes look good, and specifically if the platform key is right, if it's okay if it points to Kubernetes or it, is it customized every time? Like say someone wants to put in Vertex there. Um,
Are
yeah,
you talking about this one?
yeah.
Okay,
So
can
it doesn't
we
always say
so
Kubernetes.
just what exactly are we pointing to? Like, is there where's the question that we can link? It
Sure.
sounds like this should be within the scope of this PR to me because it sounds like we're
Yes.
talking about. So can we pose that question in this PR and then I can link
Uh,
this to
sure. I
Chen.
can add a question. I have a link to the comment I have added.
Okay,
Um,
where's that?
yeah, wait, give me 1 second.
This
Uh,
one?
yeah,
I see. Okay, let
yeah.
me
If
just
you,
turn
if
that
you,
into a comment. Question for Chen. Okay, and but it sounds like this is still a question for that PR, but I think it's fine if we can get confirmation here. Uh, can you concur on queries? Yeah, the change for this, if there's changes requested, would go for the Greg's PR, right? So,
no, those would go in this same PR. So everything that was in in Greg's PR has been integrated into this one. So this is going to be the final PR that gets merged in.
so I
Not
see. So we might actually just be closing this out if we have just consumed. Is that what you're saying?
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Then my thinking is if we're utilizing the PR, I would also just it'd be nice if we can get his commit like added on top. If we're utilizing his work. That is a small ask. But I would confer with Greg about that. Depending on what his preference is. But otherwise, yeah, okay, sounds good. We can tag him. Let me just leave a comment. Assign Chen. Okay, and let's move on.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Next one is I'm sorry if I'm saying this pronouncing this wrong, but Zay Mao.
Yeah, it's good. Z or yeah. Hello everyone. My name is Z. I'm from Google. I work with Chen. Actually, Chen is my manager, and I primarily work on Vertex pipeline, which is a Google Cloud version of KFP. And I had some experience about IR, SDK, and Google Cloud component. That's about myself. And today I would like to have discuss with all you guys about a proposal for KFP cache key customization. Let me share my screen.
Okay, I'll need to stop 1 sec. Uh, okay, go for it.
Yeah, okay, cool. Are you guys able to see it?
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. So the context is currently we have a cache key either in KFP or Vertex pipeline. And the cache key is something like this. And we have the input artifact name, input parameters, output parameter spec, a lot of the above, a lot of spec, and also the container image args. And all of them are composed of a cache key. And the cache key is only generated internally, and our user of KFP or author of pipeline are not able to customize the cache key. However, some Vertex pipeline user, I believe also some KFP user, have expressed the needs that they would like to have a better control over the caching behavior. And some of our user specifically said they would like to set the cache key at the task level by themselves. They want to bypass the system level cache key. That's why I have the discussion today. And to give you guys a better feel of what is cache key, I have a copy of the cache key. You can see we have the container image command, and also we have the component output parameter key name and type and a lot of metadata. This might be only in Vertex pipeline, and in Vertex pipeline we have the name of the input variable and also have the value of the input variable. That's a cache key. And back to customize cache key. And there are some use cases. And for example, customer may want to have updated image, but they still want to reuse the cached result from previous pipeline run. Or they have some minor change to some input variables, for example, the disk mount or some other parameters they want to change, but retain the existing cache result to avoid unnecessary recomputation. That's the use cases. And what I would like to propose is we can have a user provide hash string as user provided cache key. And from the SDK level, it would be a new parameter, which we call it cache key, added to existing API set caching option. Right now, we only have the enable caching equal true or false. My proposal is to have a cache key equal to some user-defined string. And with this string, if this cache key is set, our backend or KFP backend will respect this cache key and only use the user-provided cache key as a cache searching. So basically, that's what I would like to propose. And I would like to have some feedback from the community if this is something useful in your use case, or if you see any limitations of this proposal.
I have thoughts, but does anybody else want to go first? So I think the one thing that comes to mind is, have you considered giving the user the option of what they include in how the cache key is generated? Like just if it's because they don't want they don't want to consider images, give them the option to like exclude images as part of the cache generation. Is that
That's a
something?
very good question. Yeah.
Mhm.
We consider that this is not the only solution. And the other solution is we have something that we also look at the other pipeline, other orchestration systems. Some of them provide some ignore input variable, and which
Right.
is a list, and people can have the print input so that if they set something here, this input variable will be excluded from cache calculation. This is an option. However, there are two drawbacks with this solution. First is we are not able to offer users ability to ignore the image. And secondly, Vertex pipeline user said this doesn't work for them for some reason, and they would like to manage the key by themselves.
That makes sense. I think my solution would be to include that in this doc as a alternative, either considered or and why we decided either not to go with it or not to include that as part of this proposal. But otherwise, this to me sounds fine.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, this solution with the cache key specified cache key doesn't conflict with the way you proposed, and we can have both them. And in the let me move it here. So if we implement this, and later we can also support this, so they are not they can both coexist.
Yeah, I definitely don't see it as necessarily like mutually exclusive for sure. Yeah, I also totally agree with Alex's comment. It seems like a very non-intrusive change, and pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Can we, do you think we can get like a GitHub issue for this? Also, outlining the use case. We can link the stock if that makes things easier.
Yeah, I will create a GitHub issue and link stock.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think we can actually have multiple sharing, and because when Z shared, he requested it, and I could have, I think, kept sharing my screen. Anyways, let me share it again. So we'll try that next time if somebody needs to take over. Mike and Alex.
Thanks, Umair. Mike, do you want to drive for this? We probably should have figured this out ahead of time, but I'm happy to, but you're welcome to. It's totally your call.
You could go ahead, it's fine.
Okay. I'm not sure how much there is to say here other than, the fact that the PR is all tests are passing. We're testing against the latest version of the images. Subdag nested pipeline IO works with this PR, and it doesn't work without this PR. And in addition to that, there's like now a fairly comprehensive test suite that's testing many different corner cases with nested DAGs. So we feel pretty confident that it's ready to merge. There are two interesting issues that surfaced that I intend to file while working on this that this PR does not address directly. It kind of works around them. It's not like issues that this PR introduces, but they're issues that probably should be addressed, ideally in a separate PR because this PR is already too large as is. But those two issues are that Parallel 4 apparently does not create unique task names for the tasks that it creates in MLMD, and that results in collisions. And more importantly, in the get DAG executions function in the MLMD client, like there's a number of scenarios where essentially collisions are not handled. The task names are not unique, and collisions are not handled by the function. It just returns an error. And there's a couple of different ways to get into that error scenario. So we worked around that with our like recursive lookup approach instead of using that get DAG executions function. But we would prefer to use that function. It just requires, making sure that like collisions aren't happening. And that's a big enough problem and a standalone enough problem that we think it should probably happen in a separate PR. We've been in contact with Chen about this. I don't know if I don't see Chen on the call. So yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. If anybody has any questions or input, we're always happy to receive any kind of feedback and comments, although it is a pretty complicated large PR. Yeah, anything you want to add, Mike?
I would just add that the collision naming for Parallel 4 tasks that specifically it's at each iteration of a Parallel 4, like that's that becomes a problem when we attempt to, like when we were attempting to use get executions in DAG, because we were just like pile in all the tasks for that given like root DAG context. But ideally, we technically don't have to handle parallel for tasks because the DSL.collected is supposed to be pulling in the outputs from each iteration. So it's like an edge case that comes up for what we're trying to solve with subdag outputs, but you know, it's not one that we necessarily need to handle. We just have to like not like just check if it's a parallel for DAG, like all right, skip this. We don't DSL collected is supposed to take care of it. But the other scenario is something that should be addressed, which is the same component being used in multiple layers within a pipeline. So same component in like multiple subdags. Grabbing the context at that point at like the root DAG level, the task names are not unique for the different instances of them.
Yeah, and there's an explicit to do saying that this is a problem from like 3 years ago. It's just never been addressed. So something that we could definitely follow up with from this PR, and I think is worth addressing.
I think that sounds good. I think that we actually hit that same issue, or somebody hit it when they were using Parallel 4 with the artifact names when they were being stored in object store. I think it sounds like a very similar thing. Julio, are you?
I just posted the PR that I think. Am I still muted? Yeah.
No, can hear you now.
Okay. Oh no.
Yeah, but this one was done for creating the paths within for the artifact
we go.
URIs. But the issue sounds very similar.
Okay.
Also, I think that I may have addressed this in the parallelism limit PR that I have open. So maybe we should check that. I don't know if it affects the MLMD outputs though.
So I would say maybe then when we create the follow-up issue, we can tag Julio. Julio's GitHub handle is gfrasca. I don't know if you want to put
GM
that.
Frasca.
GM Fresca, sorry. So we can tag him, we can provide further context that he has to add. But yeah, I would also like to take a look at this. I just have been pretty backlogged with stuff. But this is a very, very great PR. I encourage others to take a look at it as well. And yeah, I feel like you guys have done a pretty good job here. Like you've also fixed a lot of CI stuff as part of the process, which is very good. So and appreciate all the test cases as well. Try to find time to take a look at this. Definitely want this merged. And I've tagged Chen here. And we can also forward him the link to the recording once this call is over. Anybody else have anything they would like to add for this?
I'll just say thank you, Humer, for the feedback, the reviews. We really appreciate it.
All right. So Julio, since you are here now, we actually had skipped your topic. Did you want to quickly address that?
Oh, I think this was from last week. We had 5 or 6 new faces that didn't get a chance to do any introductions, so I guess the proposal is in a similar form to the main Kubeflow community meeting, just have a 1-minute section say, hey, if anyone's new here, wants to introduce what they're doing, what they're interested in, what they want to get out of Kubeflow pipelines. Floor is open.
I think that's
I said, given that, hey, floor is open.
I think that's a really good idea. I've just added this like in the template section. I think we had Z who already introduced himself, so I won't put you on the spot. But yeah, anybody else want to introduce themselves that are not usually in this call? Otherwise, we can move forward.
I can go.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. My name is Nakul. I work as part of the Apogees team. It's like an API management platform, and I work at Google. So internally, we use like Vertex AI. We are trying to use Vertex AI pipelines rather to sort of work stuff around like abuse detection, train models around that. So yeah, I'm trying to understand, like, we are still starting out that journey. So feels like there's a lot of things that we could gain from Kubeflow platforms and also contribute to it. So looking forward for more opportunities to provide that.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Anyone
Nice
else?
to meet you.
All right, let's keep going. We have our last one. Bonnie, would you?
Yeah, so this is regarding tiled updating the tiled configuration for KFP repo. Since we moved all of our tests to GitHub Actions, we implemented a new workflow that verifies the successful completion of all the CI checks before a PR can be merged. So this particular workflow verifies if all the checks got passed and adds a CI passed label to the PR. And we also updated the tiled configuration for KFP repo to require the presence of CI passed label um, uh, before allowing any PR to be merged. So this PR addresses the tiled update. So we already tagged Chen on that.
Awesome. I think it would be maybe get a good. I don't think we've presented in this call the process. What is this CI passed label? I think it'd be good to maybe get like a quick overview on what this is and how it works, just for added context.
Sure. So do you want me to show any example of the current PRs that we have and which has the CI pass label?
I can navigate to one. I think
Yeah.
it should all be the more recent ones, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Why is Zoom overlay is like, oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so we see all these like CI pass labels showing up. So this is a more recent PR that happened, and there's a labeled here. What is this label?
Yeah. So basically, the workflow that we introduced is checking for all the CI checks. Is waiting until all the CI checks pass on any particular PR that we create for KFP repo, and it adds a CI pass label. So this makes sure that all the checks got passed before a PR can be merged. And in order to make it mandatory for the presence of the label before a PR can be merged, we introduced that label in the tiled configuration for KFP repo.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody have any questions about this? I can also tag. I don't know, James, if you have access to approve that stuff, but for you to look at, I'll tag both of you guys. Yeah, you can get some eyes on that. So what this is basically doing is changing adding a label as a requirement for having PRs merged. And it would be before it was these two were required, and now it will also be this one. All right, that's it. Anybody want to squeeze any other topics in before we end off for today? We have 9 more minutes. All right. Well, thanks everyone. See you all in Slack.